Ninjago Drone Rising Season 3 Part 1. I finished all my reviews, so I wanted to do a quick video, adding them all together for one big video. I did this for Blue Lock Season 2, and I thought, why not do it for this? One is a free video out of it. Two is just nice to add all together as one big video to make it more simple for people to watch if they want to watch all my reviews together, instead of going through my playlist, which they aren't. My playlist is just like Ninjago, so it's all things related to Ninjago, and my reviews are pretty separated from each other, so it just makes it a bit easier. Also, I will do this for Season 3 Part 2, but I will add this one to that one, so it'll probably be a bit longer, like 2 hours or something, give or take, depending on how long my reviews are. I will say my last review was like 20 minutes, so that review is actually pretty big. Probably my biggest review on an episode I've ever did on anything. So yes. Season 3 of Ninjago Dragon Rising is officially out. It came out while I was sleeping, so when I woke up, I binged the whole Part 1, Season 3 Part 1. And now I'm going to go through and do the reviews of the episodes. So yes, while we're doing this review, I kind of know what's going to happen next. So I'm not going to say what I think is going to happen. Unless it's like just thinking about what might happen in part 2. Anyway, in this episode, there's a lot going on in this episode. I'll start off with the bad of this episode. Personally, to me, some people might enjoy it. The lightning tides, whatever, the little stone creatures, they were kind of annoying throughout this whole episode. Probably the only thing I'll say which is bad about the episode, but like they took up a majority of the episode. The good thing I like is like the switch between Kai and Nia's team versus Lloyd's and Zane's team to find Eren. So I do like that both sides are finding people. Of course, we already know this on the trailer. I like in the first episode we get straight to it that both sides are on the search for Jay and Eren. One side more than the other, like, because let's be honest, like they don't really have any like way of finding Eren, or well, they will later in this episode, but they don't really have any way of finding Eren. With Jay, they're obviously checking up a new lead, which ends up leading them to the lightning tides, which, like I said, were the bane of my existence in this episode. They were not really funny, in my opinion, of course. Some people may have found them funny, I don't really know. That's your thing. It's your thing. But, yeah, in this episode, they were kind of annoying. They do have Venstone, which they kind of throw at Kai, and they don't really know what it is, or that it could even neutralize elemental power. They kind of just found it one day, apparently. I would say I would like to know where and how they found it, but then again, I don't really want more lightning tides. Yeah, okay, moving on to the Eren part. Because of a failed pie attempt by Sora, that Zane finds out a way to for some weird reason. He finds it that to locate Eren, he needs to calculate for chaotic energy, and he kind of finds like a possible way Eren ends up going. This is where they find the Dorama puppet that seem to like run away from Dorama. Anyway, he's been powered by the prismatic blade. They end up defeating the prismatic blade. The puppet, and end up Frak, who is actually pretty good in this episode and the season in general. I will talk about that later. He ends up getting the prismatic blade out of it. I personally like enjoy Frak. I don't think he's a bad character, not my favorite, but like not too bad. He ends up getting the prismatic blade, and they obviously don't know what it does. Zane can sense an immense amount of energy from it. Yeah, and the episode kind of ends on Sora. The episode kind of ends on, well, there's two parts of this episode. Of course, Kai and Nia end up breaking free because Nia tells a sub-story about wanting to find Jay, the love of her life. And then the Forbidden Five kind of get like the introduction to the episode, and basically they end up, the car ends up decaying the two drivers of this cart we see in the trailer, and then Rox kind of says let them go because they'll tell more people about the Forbidden Five and about how terrifying they should be or whatever. That's basically where the episode ends, and with a cool scene of the Forbidden Five. I think it's this episode was a cool scene. It might be the episode.
But either way, this episode was really good. I would say the only thing that brought it down for me is is kind of the lightning tide. You can also see a lot of people trying to want to find Eren. I feel like Lloyd personally wants to find Eren more than Jay. That's just how it sounds like. But either way, yeah, I think it's a good episode. But because of the lightning tides, I'm gonna rate it down to a 7.5 out of 10. That's simply being because I don't like lightning tides. They were on for basically the whole episode, and then they did this whole comedic stuff which I didn't find funny at all. So a 7.5 out of 10 seems fair enough. If you guys wouldn't mind subscribing or leaving a like or even commenting down below what your favorite part of the episode is, it does help out a lot, more than you know. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Episode 2 of Ninjago Dragon Rising Season 3, The Ultimate Object of Admiration. Honestly, this episode is also a great episode. Basically, at the beginning, we see Eren helping out a kid, returning his stuffed Teddy Lloyd or whatever. I don't know if that's an actual, thing you can buy in real life. It probably is. Maybe it's like marketing for that. I have no idea. Basically, he ends up doing that, and then giving him sushi, and the kid gives him the Teddy Lloyd to take with him because he needs someone to protect him or whatever. And he ends up returning to Lord Raz and ends up feeding him or whatever sushi, and Lord Raz is like, did you steal that? The only way you can get stuff is to take it or whatever. And basically, yeah, you can physically tell how Lord Raz is doing. He's really injured and all that. And that would obviously lead into the next episode. Basically, Eren's end up learning. He's practicing, and he keeps failing. And Lord Raz is throwing insults left, right, and center, and saying you'll keep failing. Moving on to Lloyd and moving on to the Frack and Sora part. Honestly, those two as a duo are kind of nice. Sora keeps mimicking Frack and just making fun of him behind his back. Also, just so you guys are aware, Zane went his own way. He does have a dedicated episode to him later on, so we will obviously review that. Nia, Kai, and Wildfire, the only thing we get to see of them this episode is just one thing of them getting a notice, them being bored around a campfire. Roby sends a image of himself, basically a selfie, I guess, through notes. I don't know why they don't have phones unless there's no signal. But anyway, and then Kai's supportive of their relationship, which is nice. Wildfire sends back a picture of herself with Kai in the background, and she ends up worried. Did she send it to pass? Not romance stuff, whatever. Was she too quick in her response or such? Basically, yeah, and that's kind of that part of the thing. Later in this episode, we do get introduced to the Dragonian village and the Dragonians. Honestly, cool designs. I really like the designs. This is obviously before they get the whole corrupted or whatnot. Before they becomes corrupted, as you see in the trailers or maybe some promo images we see later on. Honestly, I do like them. I do like the whole aspect of them just being basically ordinary citizens with some obviously having hunters or fighters that go out to protect the village, whatever. This is setting in the first realm. So yeah, and also I do like the fact that Oni is mentioned by name. Some first realm lore drop. Everyone seems to be aware of the Oni here too. I'm assuming these people are from the first realm, which is weird. We didn't get a name drop. I mean, of course, they probably weren't thinking of the Dragonians next time in Season 8 or whatever, or Season 9 when they were in the first realm, so they probably didn't have the designs or the idea of them. Well, I'm assuming these people are from the first realm just by it. I do like the interactions with them, and Tyr is going to be the main Dragonian, but he's obviously, you're going to know more when they get corrupted by the Forbidden Five later on. Yeah. And they kind of lead them to a Cyclops, because that's where Eren was seen going by. And they also end up encountering Jay on the way after defeating the Cyclops. The Cyclops, personally, I don't like him too much, but like he's not too bad. It's just he was like, just the whole like brute thing. You're like the brutes force but not the brains, whether he had like no brains, I guess you can say that. Anyway, he ends up just crushing. I'm assuming there's more Cyclops. I kind of hope this guy doesn't return, but who knows? Knowing Ninjago, it is a possibility he will return. Point being, a great episode. Jay kind of just shows up at the end, and then takes something and leaves without saying a single word. I guess that's why he has low dialogue. He barely talks. I've watched the whole season, and I can tell you he barely talks, but he's in a lot of scenes, if you know what I mean. Yeah, basically that's kind of where the episode ends, with Jay kind of just leaving. It probably ends with something else, I can't remember right now, but yeah, that's like the main parts of the episode. All in all, a good episode. I did enjoy it very much. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'll say an 8 out of 10. There's some like thingy parts, like for example the Cyclops I don't like. I think an 8 out of 10 is fair enough rating. This is obviously in my own opinion, so don't take it too seriously. You can obviously debate with me down in the comments if you want about it. That's up to you to decide. Tell me what you guys think this episode should be, but as for me, I think it deserves an 8 out of 10. It's better than the last episode, but not like 10 out of 10. I'm going to be a bit more harsh on my ratings and not give everything a 10 out of 10 or whatever, like I did for Blue Lock episodes I did reviews on. Anyway, without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Subscribe and do all that great stuff, because it does actually help me out a lot more than you can know. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video, and see you guys. While going through the editing, I did realize I forgot to talk about the ending where it basically shows us the Spectrum lands, because that's where Eren needs to get the elixir to cure Raz. So it shows us a leak of the Spectrum land, just like the full glimpse of it. He doesn't mention the Pydome, he just mentions it called the Spectrum lands. I don't know if like Raz knows the other name called the Pydome, but like as right now it's called the Spectrum lands, which is obviously it makes sense in episode 3. I think Mora explains it, or I'll have to rewatch that part. But anyway, okay, without further ado now, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. In today's video, we are going to do a review of the Spectrolands episode 3, of course. These reviews are coming out a bit late because I'm recording this at night time, because the noise in the background interrupt it and all that. So yeah, that's why sometimes reviews and stuff can come out a bit late, depending on that. Anyway, starting off, this episode is the Mora episode, and honestly, it's a great episode. I think they did Mora really perfectly. I will say the whole Eren and Raz thing in this episode is also nice. Before I talk about the Mora episode, like the Mora part of the thing, Lord Raz ends up pulling one of the prismatic blades out to give Eren or whatever. Honestly, it is so like random. Like, how does he have a prismatic blade? For what reason does he have it? We do find out kinda later. I will say it now just to say it, because I'm assuming everyone's watched the other episodes. I've watched the whole season while I'm recording these reviews. I will say why he has it. Technically, he doesn't really explain too much. He just says it's like it's basically a souvenir or like a reward from something he did or whatever. I forgot the exact words he used, but yeah. Anyway, basically, he gives Eren to go into the Spectral lands. Eren ends up encountering Moro, which saves him. Moro basically explains he's here to guide souls to the other side, and that souls suddenly disappear from this side now. Like, they just pass through as there's another alternative afterline, he thinks, or they get internal peace, which he would rather prefer. That's what he says. For the prismatic blades, it can see basically anything that can't be seen, like ghosts or whatever, in the normal spirits, souls, you name it. I do think they did Moro really good. Honestly, Moro was a great character in Season 5. Yeah, he looks less ghostly and more just green, but, that's just during around Season 3 in general. It's just like a slight glow to him, instead of like, being, I feel like
he should be see-through. I'm thinking he's not see-through. Anyway, I actually can't remember if he was see-through in season 5, to be honest. Anyway, speaking of, honestly, this episode is so good. He does talk about his master a lot in this episode. He does reveal to Eren but when he leaves, his master's Wu and to give him a message, which I do hope they touch on a later date, like when Master Wu ends up returning or they see his ghost. He also reveals that Master Wu is not in the departed realm, so he's somewhere. Maybe he hasn't entered the departed realm yet. Maybe he's a wandering spirit. I have no idea. Although I think like you would enter here first. Yeah, the whole Moro part is really good. And honestly speaking, he ends up getting the elixir of whatever it's called. Basically helping Lord Raz at the end of the episode. The side plot of this episode is basically Kai and Nia and all that kind of try and find a way to bring Jay out. Kai kind of recommends that going into an arcade machine area to find, because like Jay likes arcades, Jay likes games, and try to beat Jay's high score in this video game, and hopefully he will come out to beat the high score. He ends up technically doing it. He ends up remotely doing it somehow. For I don't know why, they don't really explain it. They kind of leave it as a mystery and up in the air. He ends up beating Kaida's score from someplace far away. They wanted to track it down, but they couldn't find anything for it to be tracked down. And yeah, honestly, a great episode. So I had to just go back and check if this was the episode where they ended up like freeing Thunder. Well, not freeing Thunderfang, but like meeting him for the first time, where he does the whole prediction stuff. Anyway, they go into the Storm Village to find Thunderfang. They end up finding him while tearing the Storm Village apart. Well, not Storm Village, the Dragonian Village. I don't know where I got Storm from. Basically, in the end, they end up talking to Thunderfang, and Thunderfang gives them a gem, which kind of when they go out, they end up using the gem to corrupt the Dragonians. And of the reason why they corrupt the Dragonians, it is because they can sense the blades, the prismatic blades. So that's how they were able to find a lot of the prismatic blades in the later episodes. And all just, they do mention it quite a lot of how they're able to sense the prismatic blades. All in all, this like transformation scene was really good, and also because of how like friendly the Dragonians are, it is really weird seeing them, all angry and all that. I'm assuming a lot of them are good warriors too, just in general, because they do have hunters, but like I don't know if that's like if they're even good warriors technically. But the main objective of them is to hunt and be able to search for the blades. Yeah, all in all, I do hope we see more of the Dragonians. I know we do see them in the later of the season, but I do hope we see more of them in season part 2 or later in Dragon Rising, because honestly, they're really good. I like the designs a lot. The whole Thunderfang scene is really nice. This episode does have a lot to talk about realistically. We got the Moro, we got the Kai beating Jay's high score, which is the lesser part of this episode, even though it was like the side plot. And then the Thunderfang thing, which people are probably more excited for, with the whole Dragonian like thingy. Honestly speaking, it's really good. And it kind of ends on Ryu. The episode kind of ends on Ryu sensing something's wrong with the. I think he sensed something wrong with the Dragonians. They do mention it later that because Dragonians are dragons, I think, right? Well, part dragon at the very least. He's able to sense them and sense that condition or whatever. Honestly speaking, that detail of Ryu, I do like how they make Ryu an important character consistently. Last episode, it was because Kai had a connection to Ryu. That's the reason he was able to communicate to Nia. And this episode, it's Ryu being able to sense something's wrong with the Dragonians, which I think is just really nice. All in all, because I do like Ryu as a character, even though he doesn't talk. Would be a surprise if Dragon Rising decides to suddenly make a dragon talk, though. I mean, dragons can talk. I actually wonder if Ryu's can be, because Ryu's a main character, technically. I wonder if they're gonna make like Ryu like become become a talking dragon. I'm assuming he can. I don't think all dragons can talk, but I think like high ranking dragons at the very least. Actually, the monarchs can talk now. Back in the day, a lot of dragons couldn't talk, but like I'm assuming a lot of dragons can talk now. It's just natural. So eventually we'll probably get Ryu talking, which would be pretty nice. I feel like a lot of people would like find that very adorable and cute. As of the rain on this episode, honestly, I not just because of nostalgia, they brought Mori back a lot, like really good. It's been like 10, 15 years, not 15, like 10, 12 years, give or take. I don't really know. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. Season 5, of course, then we got season 15, which is 10 seasons, and then the 2 seasons, so 12 seasons at the very least. I don't know if like seasons were released that same year or whatever, but either way, this episode's so great. They brought Mori back perfectly while expanding on his character a lot more and his sorrows. And I hate episode 10 is going to be annoying to review because of what they did to Mori. I won't talk about that in today's episode though. But honestly, season 3 so far has been great. I will probably give this episode a 10 out of 10. A lot of it's nostalgia, but at the same time, they brought Mori back perfectly while expanding on his character. And the Kai plot, I really like it because I do like when they reference the fact that they all used to play video games and they still do it. It's just like when they talk about video games, they always mention Jay or Cole at the very least. It's nice to know Kai still likes playing it. In season 15, he does play a bit too. But yeah, it's always nice knowing that. Nia is always like bored and thinking around video games. Wildfire playing her first actual video games because like she used to like play learning games or whatever was nice. Yeah, all in all, it's a 10 out of 10 episode, like I said. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Subscribe and do all great stuff, folks. It does help me out a lot. See you guys. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are basically talking about Zane's Great Robbery. The Great Zane Robbery, that's what it's called. Basically, in today's video, we're going to be reviewing that episode. This is episode 4. So I have 6 more episodes to review after this, which hopefully I'll be able to review them quick and steadily. Basically, in this episode, we have it's the Zane episode, as the title suggests, and Zane ends up discovering Rapton, Steenstein, which he was in before, and he ends up detecting that it's Pixel. I'm assuming that's what he detected straight away, from what it sounded like, and they went to the train. He ends up freeing Pixel from the train. Pixel has no memory of, she only had her only memory from what she says is of the merge starting and nothing else. I do hope we do get a reason on why they're actually in those containers, because honestly, I'm always baffled on what it is. I have no idea. Like, they're in the containers, they have no memory of how. I don't know if their minds are just transferred to a backup body or whatever, because their normal bodies didn't survive the merge. I have no idea. Going on the fact that this episode is about Zane, there is a J thing I'll talk about at the end, and then there's a Forbidden 5 thing I'll talk about then. Basically, Zane, Raptor and that end up having a fight for Pixel because they want obviously to download the sales of the highest bidder or whatever, and they end up losing. The Forbidden 5 not comes up. Zane kinda is like, they must be here for him, and he ends up realizing they're here for the blade. He ends up getting in and, had a cool fight scene between Noct and Zane, with Noct kinda seriously getting outmatched, and then he ends obviously, overpowering Zane. I do like how Zane has a 1-5 with Noct. It was really interesting. That's kind of like, I feel like that's not the main thing, not just the season. There's another thing, but that's like in the final. That's almost the main thing he does this season, is just fight Zane. Yeah, I do want to make a video on how the Forbidden 5 were treated in the season, but I will save that for another one. Anyway, not end up winning, and he kind of leaves with the Dragonians. Dragonians leave with him, and basically at the end, Zane uses his own like wires from inside of him to slow down the train to stop it, because they kind of broke it to get away. They kind of broke the train to stop it from crashing. He ends up using himself like he's a robotic energy to do that, and he ends up powering down near the end of this episode with him saving Raptor and stuff. He does. We do see more of that next episode, I believe. Okay, now the thing about Jay, we do get to see our actual first look at Jay, and his voice is him with that green snake 17. I forgot his name. He ends up contracting Jay, and this is the reason he stole that thing from Lloyd in episode 2, when it's still from Lloyd from the Cyclops, and this is why he stole it, to give it to him, because it was a contract deal. He got paid up right. Of course, we know he's a bounty hunter. Doesn't mean like he hunts Scooby. It's just like he's a hired gun, you could say. And then basically the snake guy passes on a message to Jay to meet in 2 days time. I will say it's now. Next time we meet him is in episode 6, so 1 episode away. And then after that, Jay in the season has been great. By the way, I've seen all the episodes, so I am enjoyable to talk about him in the future, because honestly, I can ramble all day. I do like how he was treated in the season, personally. Now, going on to the ending, Rox of the Forbidden Five ends up invading the village we saw before in season 1. And she ends up like going on the world to find this like shell rock or whatever, and breaks it. One of the prismatic blades were inside, and that's where the episode ends. Episode was great all in all. I feel like it focused too much on Zane. I know it's like the Great Zane robbery, and the episode focusing was good, as majority fights, but it was like the whole episode was focused on him, which isn't bad. It's just I do like, some people may hate it, some people may like it. I personally do when they cut between this scene and something else. They at the start they do show us like sorry an error, and that's not what they were doing still, and them talking about how Zane's robotic feelings or whatever. But I do personally like that. It's not bad doing this per se. I do like the whole Forbidden fight scene, but I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I think that's a fair rating, a 9 out of 10 for this episode. It was great. Do love the Jay thing, because obviously, favorite ninja, Jay, best character, in my opinion. Hopefully we see more of him in season 2. Part 2, I think we do, personally. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about I Alone Can Save Them. This also is a quote from Raz at the end of this episode. That's why it's called I Alone Can Save Them. But in this episode, we basically get a bunch of stuff. The ninja, like Lloyd's team, ends up fighting Zark. I will say, throughout this whole season, Zark is probably my least favourite member of the 5. I will probably do a ranking of them in general, just how I like them. Like my dislike to what's liked members of the 5, just because season 3 part 1's out, and it's not sure if we'll get them in season 3 part 2, so I'll have to wait and see for that. At the start of this episode, basically they end up breaking 2 of the chains of Thunderfang, which in all honesty I didn't know they would even start breaking it. I thought they would like have all the blades and break them all at once, or like simultaneously, all at once, one after the other. I didn't know they'll break throughout the episodes, so I was like kind of a bit surprised when I was watching this a bit. Anyway, with the Zane and Pixel thing, Pixel's kind of trying to reboot Zane and get him up online. She eventually does. It takes a while, but she does it. And I will say the main bit about this episode is Kerr going after one of the prismatic blades. The prismatic blade that got broken during Lloyd and Zeatrix's fight in the Tournament of Elements. Basically, they end up fighting for the prismatic blade. Well, by fighting, I mean the temple guards kind of get overpowered pretty easily by the Dragonians, and then Roby tries to defend
and take the prismatic blade for some reason, thinks she can. And Kerr ends up decaying him, which we saw in the trailer. We already knew this was going to happen, so we weren't. So I don't doubt anyone was surprised. Some people probably liked him getting decayed. Some people probably like, it's a bit of a waste. I will say the Ruby getting decay gives Wildfire a story in this part, because Wildfire's first love, Ruby's been decayed on his deathbed. Wildfire ends up getting a letter to come because the city's been attacked, and she's trying to take good care of Ruby. Basically, Ruby's obfuscated. He's like, I never really read any Agent so he hands him a book for Ninja to read through, which whatever, and they'll end up finding this later on. So yes, and then later in this episode, Zane and Pixel end up rejoining the Ninja. They don't really tell us how they got there, but they end up rejoining the Ninja with Big Mac Zane. This is how his transition happens apparently. Somehow, I'm assuming something in the Arsenal, Raven's Arsenal, someone made Zane be able to build a Big Mac for Zane. But either way, they end up rejoining the battle and Zart. In this episode, we also see like Rock's treating the Forbidden Five who fail her, kind of like garbage and all that. Zart is probably my least likable one. Also, he's just thrown away by Rocks because I will say throughout this whole season, if you've watched all the episodes, Zart is the only one who fails to get a blade. And it wasn't even that hard. Like, Rock's fault, and they were fine majority ninja, I guess. But like, I feel like his power mix fortune could have been used way more. But either way, it was still a great episode, and the episode kind of ends on Raz saying he can save them all while simultaneously showing Eren his parents' grave. Realistically, you shouldn't believe Raz. Like, let's be honest here. There's no proof that's your parents' grave. Because for one, if you think about it, for one, who the heck buried them? That's one. Second of all, why bury them all the way over there where there's nothing to be seen for ages? Third of all, I'm assuming Raz knows his name and he's planned this because they've been together after season 2. So I'm assuming this happened before season 2. He already planned to get them. And then he orchestrated someone to get a bunch of graves with some names written on it. Either way, you shouldn't believe Raz at all. Or which is less likely to happen, Raz actually believes Eren's parents are dead and all, but we will find out later on that that's not the case in literally the last episode of this part. I won't talk about that now. I'll talk about that in literally the last episode when I do the last review of the season 3 part 1. A great episode. I won't really have anything I dislike about it. It's just like Zart getting beat around kind of made me joy for some reason. Zart failing to, get the blade, and how we see how Rox just treats him like absolute crap after. Yeah, I will hopefully do a ranking on like the Forbidden Five later on how I like them. To my most liked to least liked members of the 5. And yeah. Anyway, without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe and do all that great stuff. It does help me out a lot. And bye. I think I did forget to do a rating in this episode, so I'm going to do that now. While I was editing, I couldn't see myself rating the episode. I do have a headache around the corners and a belly, and I feel a bit ill, so maybe that's why it slipped my head. If I did and I just missed it while editing the video, fair enough. I give this a 9 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10, not a perfect episode. 1,000 discards, like Zark's battle, I don't really like too much. He kind of gets beat up. As a member of the 5, you think he'd be decently powerful, or like somewhat like strong, even if he isn't the strongest in the 5. Like somewhat of a threat. He isn't really. Lloyd can handle him alone, to be honest. Yeah, that's kind of the only thing. And yeah, so that's why it's a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. Welcome back to another Ninjago review video, and this is episode 6, I think. Fallen Wishes episode review.
We're basically just gonna be talking about, just reviewing the whole episode like we've been doing for the last 5 episodes. After this, I have 4 more episodes to review. Basically, this episode, I'm going to talk about the J part first. The Zetrix and J part was really nice, and I think it was handled pretty well. With Zetrix, obviously, I'm assuming Zetrix is either going to play a bigger role in part 2, or she's going to have some conversation with Jay about him failing his contract. Or I'm assuming she's gonna have a bigger role later on in certain seasons. Considering last season, she didn't really have that much of a bigger role. She was just there and made kind of argued with Raz, and then after that she kind of lost to Lloyd. That was the whole point in season 2, and she was obviously, I think, accused of stabbing people in the back at the start of the season. So hopefully in the season, later on in the season, she gets a bigger part or whatever, or hopefully she ends up fighting her sister. Although, if they fight too long, I honestly wouldn't know who's who, because they would look identical if they're wearing the same stuff, especially. That would actually kill me. Anyway, the whole point, the main bit about this episode, actually I'll talk about that in a minute. Lord Raz saying his whole mission is to cure the merge, and basically saying, oh my god, I'm here to cure merge, I alone can save them, we already know this. And Hammer's also a dragon icon, which a lot of people apparently theorized about. I didn't really see those theories, but yeah. And just all in all, great that Lord Raz is just, his motivation, supposedly motivation is to return his people to where they were and bring them back and all that. So that is what he says his motivation is. We don't know that, so all we can go off is what he said right now. So he could be lying to us, he could be deceiving us, or Eren per se, but that's all we know about. So we don't really know anything else than that. But I think that was handled pretty well. I don't think he's telling the whole truth, but I think he's telling the truth, maybe with a bit of lies. He probably does want to cure the merge, but maybe he does because he's serving a master. I'm assuming he's doing this all for his master at the end of the day. So yes, hopefully sooner or later we will see this supposed master of his. Okay, moving on to the main part about this episode is obviously the Ericon, new Ninjago and all that. If you guys don't know new Ninjago and you're a new Dragon Rising fan and you haven't watched the later seasons, it's basically season 6 is Ninjago, Jinjago. The old realm was destroyed, and then, Nanacon kind of built a new realm above Ninjago and basically made new Jinjago, and now they're doing it again, but from what it appears, every wish Ericon's able to grant, he's able to make his Jinjago grow a little more and restore his realm. I wonder if he's apparently the only Jin yet left, but I wonder if there's probably more out there or somewhere that no one knows of. For Ericon's sake, I do hope so, but yeah, I do like the fact that this episode reminds me a lot of Skybound. I think that's really cool. Skybound was obviously one of my favourite seasons, so just the fact that it reminds me of that is, perfect. I can't really ask for much from this episode other than that. They obviously, Ericon tricks the within 5 rocks to summon a ninja because she wished for it, and she summons the people who Ericon met in season 1, Nia, Sora, and Ryu to think, although I would argue Ryu isn't technically a ninja. I mean, I think he's pretty referred to as a ninja. Either way, yeah. Honestly, that whole sequence, the whole battle and all that, and the whole rocks end up getting thingy, and it was really fun how he kept wishing left, right, and center. Really felt Skybound vibes from that, and Rox ends up getting it, and she basically just controls the ninja for a bit, and then she ends up losing it because Sora uses her text powers, and Ericon gets free. Yeah, Forbidden 5 obviously have the thing restored, so they just retreat and leave. Of course, Rox isn't the strongest Forbidden 5 member, but she's the smartest, I guess. Even if she basically could have got rid of the ninja, but she kind of just, treated it lightly. And honestly, Ericon in just general, I do like it. It reminds me of Skybound. that's the reason it's probably going to be higher on the rating. I also do love the fact that Kai and Nia are the ones to discover Thunderfang's history. We kind of know that. Well, we know Nia talked about it in the trailers, but I feel like it was really nice that Kai and Nia was the one to discover it. And then Sora ends up going back to Lloyd to basically tell them that Thunderfang is that what Nia told her, that Thunderfang is like they're trying to free Thunderfang. It is weird how it's like 6 episodes in and they just realised that they're trying to free Thunderfang. That does feel really weird, personally. So I don't really know about that. All in all, I think this episode was really good. There's obviously some bad parts, like animation-wise, it's really good. And I think there's certain bad parts, I would say. For example, there's thing like Sora ends up going back. Lloyd like got teleported while Sora's looking at Sora got teleported while Lloyd was looking at his like prismatic blade. She gets teleported back and it's basically the same image. Lloyd's still looking at the prismatic blade. I don't know, maybe time paused or something, or Lloyd just really likes looking for detail at a prismatic blade. Yeah, it's basically like the same image. So yeah, that's probably my nitpicking. I can't remember too much like bad stuff about this episode, but I feel like it's maybe going off nostalgia for me because I like Season 6 and Nonicon, new Ninjago. It just really hits home. Season 6 was one of my favourite seasons back in the day. Still is now, because like the villain personally and then the whole story was really great. It's a disappointment how the character writing in it basically went scrap after, but at the same time it's a really good season and it's a J season to boot. So yes, this episode really hit home, and personally I think it is a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10 episode, not a perfect episode, but 9 out of 10, like the whole J stuff, the whole Kai and Nia find Thunderfang, the whole Raz's motivations, and Raz wanting to summon all 7 Source Dragons. I'm assuming this is his Master's Wheel or whatever. I do love all that, and the whole Ericon fight scenes were pretty cool. I will say Dareth ends up making an appearance, which Dareth is always a mixed thingy. People either hate him or love him. It's not really one or the other. So yeah, do with that what you want. There's been a lot of cameos in the season. Fugitive made an appearance earlier on in the season, which I didn't bother talking about, but yeah. Anyway, without further ado, make sure to subscribe and do all of that great stuff, because I'll see you guys next time, which will probably be pretty soon because I need to review episode 7. So yes, anyway, without further ado, bye guys. Hello guys, in today's video we will be reviewing episode 7 of Dragon Rising Season 3, the Dragonic Majesty. In this review, I'll talk about obviously the stuff first, then I'll give it a rating like I always do. I will talk about how Xenopix obviously builds something to track the last prismatic blade, which ends up leading to the end of this episode at the end, where they meet up with Raz and, well, I'll talk about that at the end, but like, Raz obviously has the prismatic blade, so they're tracking Raz and Aaron. They don't know this at the time. But while Pixel builds that thing on the board of the prismatic blade, which leads them to be able to track Aaron and Raz and find the last prismatic blade. The whole Jay fight scene was amazing. He kind of avoids Aaron. Like, when Aaron gets out, he dodges his attack and then just jumps at Raz, makes him go down. Of course, there's a whole like flight scene with his mecha army. It's just so cool, in my opinion. Like, honestly, best character of this season. I may be a bit biased because I am a J fan in general. They don't use his name Rogue at all this whole season, I don't think. But either way, it's just super cool seeing him fight. That's all I have to say for that. The whole Eren and dragons, like monarchs or whatever, I don't know which dragons they were, can't remember. They kind of like, they accept him at first, then they end up like Lord Raz for like this whole episode till the end. Was paranoid that the dragons would recognize him, but they eventually do. And they kind of call Eren out for working with Lord Raz, and Eren's like trying to say, oh, I need him. Realistically, it is stupid. Realistically, there's probably multiple people in the merge lands who have an idea of how the merge works, not just Lord Raz. I'm assuming Lord Raz is not only one
in all of the realms who know how to reverse the merge, or for that matter, thinking it's obviously Lord Raz's master who's telling him, and we haven't actually seen him since season 2, part 1. So I kind of hope we get like a glimpse of him. Maybe he told him about Eren and how he needs to use Eren. I don't know. By the way, that whole like Eren and Lord Raz this season is a good thing. Even if I hate the idea of Eren just turning to Lord Raz as he's new teacher or master or whatever. And obviously they're gonna be continue to do that next part, which I still hate. So yeah. Of course, some people obviously like it, some people probably don't like it. It's up to you, whether your taste, where your taste lies. As a score, I think this episode is a 10 out of 10. It kind of ends up perfectly with the ninja end up reuniting with Lord Raz at the end of the episode, well, Eren and Lord Raz. And they kind of just like, Sora saying Eren saying Sora. That's better the episode ends. It's a 10 out of 10, 100%. I am not just saying that because Jay's fight scenes in this episode were the best fight scenes I've seen this whole season, 100%. I'm not just saying that because of that. Well, I am, but at the same time, I'm not. Yeah, honestly, a great episode. All in all, this is probably the best we see of Jay this whole season, I will say. He does show up next episode 2 and more episodes after that. But I feel like this scene and the next episode scene are the best Jay's been this whole season. The best he's been the whole Dragon Rising. In my opinion, his fight scenes are so amazing. I do wonder if he's the one who built the tech or if he has someone who builds tech for him. That would be interesting. I hope it's him who builds it just because of his whole personality of him inventing stuff back in the day. That would be really amazing. So hopefully we do find out whether he's the one who's built his tech. And his old like mech suit is also nice and cool. I do like his rogue outfit way more. He doesn't, like I say, doesn't get referred to as rogue in this season. But of course we know from the sets. I'm assuming like that's his like, bounty hunter name, right? Or it's either that or people just call him a rogue because he's like a vigilante hero. No, because he steals stuff for like the right price or whatever. I wonder if next season he's still gonna have the rogue identity, like take on contracts while helping the ninja. I'll get to that when I do a discussion on Jay for a video. But yeah, straight 10 out of 10. Nothing wrong with it. A great episode and all. Like I said, Jay's part where he's saying I do enjoy the whole pixel stuff too. The whole Eren vs Jay, it would be nice for them to fight, just see how far Eren's obviously freeing, because Jay obviously was once a ninja. I do get on people like to say Jay remembers some stuff for some gaming thing. I feel like a lot of that stuff is muscle memory. Realistically, you can put it down to muscle memory. If you fought once, even if you forget it, you will still be able to fight again, most likely, because muscle memory is like a thing. But yeah, the whole like Zane Pixel thing this time is also good with them building obviously, the thing.
It's a quick hand.
The thing that can track down the Lost Prismatic Blade. I don't really know how to do it. I think they locate the energy or whatever. I'm not really a scientist. Or logic doesn't just make sense to me, to be honest. But yeah, honestly, a great episode. And I will be reviewing other episodes when I get around to it, so bear with me with that. But until next time, see you guys. I forgot to talk about this in the review. This is also why it's a 10. I do love the fact that literally Raz is like torturing the Guardian who, we saw in season 1, part 2, the like those ball things or whatever. He literally is resorting to torture him because he's using the dragon icon to torture the Guardian or whatever. So yes, and obviously Eren's like, stop, we don't have to do this, and he's just doing that. And I do love the fact that he calls him a villain and Eren doesn't want to accept that he's a villain. I mean, what do you expect? You're working with a villain, so literally people would call you a villain. It also turns back to like at the start of the episode with the dragons calling Eren like the hero and savior, and now he's the villain. Like two sides, he's basically turning into a villain from people's perspective. This is also a nice thingy, and then Raz is like
why do you care what that thing called you? Well, for one, a villain, Aaron's like, a villain hurts people, harms people, Raz doesn't really care. I do love that. I will say, I wasn't going to talk about this part impersonally, but there's a whole like thing with Wildfire and Ruby where she goes off screen to get like ingredients to make that thing that that can ease the pain of that dragon disease, and she gives it to Ruby. Ruby doesn't feel bad for Coles because of decay, and she's kind of frustrated that it's not working, and she's losing hope. She doesn't know what to do. So yes, I did like that. Okay, without being said now, I'll see you guys next time. Sometimes I forget to talk about some stuff, so I do re-record it and use that to the video. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Crashing Together episode 8 of the thingy. I will start this review by saying, I know Sora and Aaron's like part is a major part of this episode. It keeps coming back to the flashbacks of them. I personally enjoy the flashbacks. But I will summary the flashbacks. It's when Aaron and Sora first met and how they kind of got to know each other, and Sora still like didn't like fully know that she can trust Aaron. Like, she got scared and ran away the moment Aaron shouted at her, and was ended up being kidnapped by 2 skeletons. And that's basically where like the whole major part of the flashback is. And then Aaron basically ends up telling the ninja about his parents are gone, his parents are dead, and all that. He still blames Ruby for it. Jay ends up kidnapping, Rogue ends up kidnapping Lord Raz. And then the whole fight scene erupts. Aaron chases after Raz. Yeah, and the whole Raz versus Jay kidnapping Raz and Aaron chases after him. Sora chasing after Aaron. It corresponds pretty good with the flashbacks. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the flashbacks, so that kind of downgrades the episode for me, even though it's obviously the major part and it's a good emotional climax between Sora and Aaron and how they got to know each other and how they are in the present. I didn't really like the flashbacks. I kind of zoned out throughout majority of it. So that's just me. And all. Jay ends up getting defeated by Sora because he's in his mech. So Sora uses the tech powers to kind of throw him down. They're hanging from a rope and they kind of just talk it over or whatever. Anyway, moving on to Drix versus Ninja. Drix completely because they obviously take by surprise by he's made of bugs and all that. So yeah, Drix ends up kind of being Ninja, and honestly, he's the coolest Forbidden 5 member for me. I will do a video eventually ranking them. Hopefully I get that video out sometime after my reviews, depending on when that comes out. And I do hope this season, this part isn't the last time we see of the Forbidden 5, even though it is very likely. Hopefully not, because they're really cool characters in my opinion, especially Drix. And yeah, honestly speaking, Drix ends up getting the blade, beating Raz, taking Raz with him, kidnapping Raz, and basically heading towards Thunderfang. That's where the episode ends, with Zane saying no one can stop them now. And of course, obviously, we know, you guys should know in episode 9 and 10 what happens, so I will leave that for that review. I will give this review a 9 out of 10. Only going down one guy, I didn't enjoy the flashbacks and I zoned out. But that's mainly because I don't really like Sora and Aaron as characters too much. I can stand them, and it's not they're bad characters, it's just I personally don't like them. I like Frack more than Aaron and Sora, to be honest. Anyway, and Wildfire more than them. Anyway, without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. This episode was really good with all the fight scenes and all that. So yeah, I'll try to get episode 9 and 10 out as soon as I can. And without further ado, see you guys. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are reacting to Season 3, Episode 9, Chaos Unchained. Basically, this is the episode where Thunderfang gets released, but I'll talk about that later in this review. First off, Aaron ends up teaming up the ninja again to obviously save Lord Raz, because Raz was taken by Drix, and they need to find a way to catch up with Drix. And they end up coming to a conclusion through arguing with Nia and Kai about a picnic they had with Jay or whatever. That they can beat Drix to Thunderfang if they use the monastery. You know how the monastery connects to all the other monasteries or whatever. They're going to connect through that. And also, Before they end up leaving, we get this climax of Sora and Eren apologizing to each other. Eren ends up saying that it's his fault and apologizes to Sora before she can finish her apology. But Sora still apologizes either way, and they kind of like sort of make up or whatever. It was really nice, and it was definitely well deserved because the whole season, like, I'm like, Eren's been annoying to me. It's just not him, it's just his character in general, but like, I just don't like evil Eren, I guess. Like I said before in my reviews, I'm not the biggest fan of both the characters, but like, that's just me being an old school Ninjago fan, I guess. Something I will say that we saw in episode 1 is like Frack using his thing. You could tell how the corruption like of the Shadowspin has kind of corrupted his way of thinking that chaos is the best way. He's since corrected that from where it appears. He doesn't actually think that anymore. I don't know, but Eren also ends up thinking that in this conversation. It comes up saying he's got way stronger because he's using his fueled hatred for his enemies or whatever to or for the merge or the master wheel or whatever for his training or whatever. And then Sora says, is that really how do you be a ninja or whatever? Just trying to remind Eren who he is and what he's trying to be or whatever. And basically that's kind of the whole heart to heart. Or Sora ends up, this will lead into episode 10, by the way. So yes, the ending of episode 10, kinda, if you like piece 1, 2 together. But yeah, Sora and Eren end up making up, and of course they end up like being friends again from the looks of it. Honestly, I do like the bit where Eren, like, Sora ends up building the ninja like Jay's like rogue wings he had in when he was fighting Eren and Raz. So like, because Eren obviously had a model of himself, they ended up replicating that and to fit all the ninjas. So that also leads to an aerial battle later on. And honestly, the Forbidden Five here, I will say they are playing a game of like keep away with the prismatic blades after catch off Drix. They're basically playing keep away with the prismatic blades. They actually are doing pretty well against the Forbidden Five. The only time they fumble is there. Lloyd actually trusts Eren with the blades and doesn't bother, helping him out. However, he's just trying to defend the Forbidden Five from getting near Eren and tells Eren to run away or whatever. And then Eren sees Raz, because Not is like, obviously Not is out for vengeance. Drix hands Raz to Not, and Not is like, yes, I'm going to get my revenge, and he kind of beats up Raz a lot. He wants obviously Raz to fight back. Raz obviously ends up losing. Eren comes down, and for some reason he thinks he can beat Not, even though he wasn't really matched with him last season by himself, so I don't really know what he was thinking. But yeah, at least hand the prismatic blades over to someone else before you charge in there. Basically, Rox ends up kicking him in the back, and then, prismatic blades are handed over to the Forbidden Five. Great work, Eren. He does feel remorse, I think, the next episode, but like only for a split second. He doesn't really care. I'm like, that should be like, you should at least feel a bit more sad that your choice has allowed Thunderfang to be free. Regardless, Thunderfang, surprise, surprise to no one, he betrays the Forbidden Five. It's been like a common trope of people getting betrayed in Ninjago, so I'm not like too shocked about that. But anyway, at the end, Thunderfang roars because he's free, and that's what the episode ends on. So yes, if I had to rate this episode out of 10, I would give it a solid 10 out of 10. I actually do like a lot of stuff. The fight scenes were cool. The keep away kind of reminds me of season 7, where they're achieving the time blade away from the snake people. Of course, to a much larger extent, they're doing pretty well. If Forbidden 5 gets it, the ninja end up getting it back. If Forbidden 5 gets it, it was like a constant going on. Basically, everyone at least majority of people end up touching the prismatic blade before Thunderfang eventually gets released. So I think a 10 out of 10 does do it. Honestly speaking, it is one more review until I've completed my reviews on the season. And then I'll do a season 3 discussion where I discuss the whole season as a whole, whether it's good or bad. You can pretty judge on what I'm going to say if you've watched all my reviews. So yes, I'll see you guys for that. But obviously, I need to do tomorrow. I need to do episode 10's review, which will probably be out tomorrow. Or it'll be out really late today. I don't really know.
But make sure to subscribe and do all that great stuff, because it does help me. And depending on if it doesn't get copyrighted, there should be a lot of background stuff in this thing. And if that's like your way of, if that's like how you like me editing my videos, fair enough. Because honestly, it is fun to edit it like this way. It's just it's a lot more work and effort, but I don't really mind that. I think it's pretty better to edit my videos this way anyway. Okay, without further ado, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.
Hello guys, welcome back to another video. We are doing the final now, episode 10, season 3 of part 1. I don't know when part 2 will actually come out. If I had to guess, probably like 2-3 months away or whatever, somewhere in like October, December, November, whatever. It has obviously not been confirmed. There's probably it'll probably get revealed eventually, like in a month or something, give or take. Anyway, let's get into this review. We're gonna be reviewing the Shadow Dragon episode. Of course, I said the final of this episode of this season, part 1. And next season, I'm assuming Thunder Fang's gonna be a major part of it. There are also some episode descriptions that have kind of been leaked. It's not like 100% confirmed, so I will talk about that in a different video. As for now, things I like about this final. The main bit I do like, let's talk about this real quick. The Jay returning stuff.
Thought I'd lightening up the mood.
And Nia, like, realizing it's Jay. That was so great. Like, honestly, I feel like the way he did it, though, with him, like, with the camera angle turning around, they kind of made it feel like we didn't know it was Jay, but at the same time, we knew it was Jay. Like, I'm pretty sure majority of people knew it was Jay, but I feel like if you're obviously a kid watching Ninjago, you may or may not have realized it's Jay, because let's be honest, it is. And also, like, we obviously knew before going into it because of the leaks of Ro and Jay. So yes, but I feel like when you're a kid watching it, it would be probably shocking, pun intended, I guess. Yeah, the whole Jay stuff was really good. I'll talk about that later on, because he does have a major part to play near the ending. Also, I don't think I mentioned this in the last episode. Wildfire does eventually come back. I don't know if she come back at the start of this episode or at the end of the last episode. I just can't remember specifically, but like in the last episode, at the very least, it was hinted she was coming back after she healed Roby. I don't know if I mentioned that last time, so I thought I might as well mention it this time. But Wildfire's back, and she kind of teams up with Kyan a lot. There's a lot of Kyan Wildfire interactions here. It's really nice. Kai ends up getting the mech that Wildfire was piloting, because Wildfire got kind of slapped away by Thunderfang. Immediately pulled the ground, and then Kai gets the mech and punches Thunderfang in the eye, which honestly was a great thing. It's just a very Kai thing to do if you really think about it. Kai is nowhere near my favorites of the ninja, but like, he's starting to be more likable than he was back in the day. And also, I do like the fact that they just punching him in the eye. It just feels like a Kai thing to do, honestly. I will also mention the triple Dragon Rising of Kai, Nia, and Lloyd. That was done really well. It does make sense, as they obviously Thunderfang gave, the Shadow Dragon gave his power to the Forbidden Five. So it makes sense that the Shatter Spin can, like, Thunderfang can obviously be hit and injured with Dragon Rising. Of course, it's harder, but at the same time, it is a way to defend against his power. I do hope we get more info on Dragon Rising. Of course, we know it was used against the Forbidden Five and it can counter it, but at the same time, like, I want to know who made it. I don't think we actually got, like, any useful. I don't know if we actually know that. Maybe we do and I'm just forgetting. It'll be nice, like, maybe the Arc Dragon Focus made Shadow Spin for the made Dragon Rising for the Mortals, or Rising Dragon, because also it's literally the name of the season. Well, it's season backwards, but you get it. I will say, for people who like Frack and Eren as like a duo team, because of course Frack and Eren's history with how they grew up together and they were kind of the best of friends. They do have like a lot of stuff. For example, Eren saves Frack and then Frack saves Eren. That's basically the whole thing throughout the fight. I will say I love how there's like multiple fight actions. I can't remember the last time Ninjago had like multiple people fighting at the same time. I mean, Crystallize, I guess, but like this is just more chaotic, I guess, if you think about it. And I also love how Dragon Rising obviously leads into one another. But momentarily, I'll talk about that later on, how part 1 leads into part 2. Thunderfang ends up being able to eventually detect that Lloyd's a Source Dragon conduit, which I'm like, if you have like how Raz has his hammer, I'm assuming Thunderfang it's more easier to get in touch with a Source Dragon if they're directly involved with the Source Dragons. Of course, Thunderfang has obviously a history of Source Dragons, and he kind of wants to get revenge on the 6 or 7 Source Dragons, how many there are. And yeah, he basically tries to take Lloyd's soul. First time, Zane ends up interrupting it, so he fails. And then, about a couple minutes later, he ends up actually managing to take Lloyd's soul, which kind of leaves his body, it's like a green energy thing. So it leaves his body, and Eren kind of catches him. And you can see how sad Eren is or whatever. While kind of the Thunderfang is kind of screaming to the world, saying, "Source Dragon, you can't ignore me now." Basically saying how he's going to wreak havoc in the mortal world until the Source Dragons end up wanting or needing to interfere with him. I'm assuming next season we'll get maybe Thunderfang versus the Focus Dragon, or at least the dragon that the Source Dragon that Lloyd's connected to with his conduit thing, the Source Dragon icon. I would like to see that very much. To defeat Thunderfang, well, I was wondering how they were gonna defeat him in part 1. I thought he was just gonna retreat or whatever. But technically they do defeat him, but of course he's gonna come back. More on that later in this review. But basically Eren gets that thing he got from Moro, from the elixir thing or whatever. He helped save Raz. He basically, because Moro, he has a flashback of Moro telling him and explaining what it does. And basically he sees from the prismatic blade that Thunderfang is made up of basically all souls, so throwing at it does make sense realistically. It lets all the souls move on, which weakens Thunderfang, and Thunderfang kind of evaporates and dies with everyone getting their souls back. I do want to quickly go to the video just to show you something, but yeah, Lloyd ended up getting his soul back, and basically everyone's happy. All in all, okay, we have this clip. I'm going to put it in slow motion. It's obviously on someone's YouTube channel because they've uploaded it. And I don't know how long these will be uploaded on YouTube because they normally go. Basically, Eren ends up throwing the thing, which I told you about. He ends up destroying Thunderfang. There's a lot of gold things. Then you got these 5 red souls, which are the Forbidden 5s. I didn't see this when I first preview, by the way, first watching for it. I had no idea. They end up going back into Thunderfang while he disappears. They all go into him. Now, I don't know if this is because they are basically made up of Thunderfang's shatter energy, their souls are probably purely made up of his shatter energy, or if the 5 voluntarily went back and decided to stay within Thunderfang to go to the Spectral Lands. And yeah, I don't know if I'm assuming the 5 will actually return, which I hope they do, and I hope they are way better than they are in season 3, because honestly I did enjoy them in season 3, especially Drix. But at the same time, I feel like they weren't really the main villains. They were also defeated, and I feel like they thought they were too cocky with how the ninja, they were too cocky with how the ninja, not really worthy or something like that. They kind of thought they could just beat the ninja really easy, especially Rocks, especially in episode 6, you could especially tell. But yeah, I thought, so I didn't know this for my first preview. I only knew this because I saw a video of someone talking about it. So yes, all things considered, after all this is done, Eren ends up going back to Lord Raz. And now we have 2 ninjas, 2 people who decide to go with Lord Raz, because Sora goes with Lord Raz to obviously watch out for Eren. I'm assuming her role is probably going to be something like Raz teaches Eren to be rage and full, and Sora keeps reminding Eren that rage isn't the only thing that goes on, or whatever. I'm still probably going to hate it, honestly. I hate the whole evil Eren part, because they're 2 of my least favourite characters. But either way, it's so like annoying just having them evil. Like, I don't know how long they're gonna be evil. I'm assuming next time Jay's gonna end up telling them that his parents aren't dead or whatever. Hopefully, or if they do, and then Lord Raz tries to deny it, I don't really know what to believe because, like, let's be honest, if someone tells you your parents dead and Lord Raz, I feel like at this point, everyone's just gonna believe anything Lord Raz says. So I don't really know what's gonna happen there. I will say I'm not too mad for the fact that like we are training Sora and Eren, like same with Lord Raz for Evil Jay. Well, technically we aren't training them, but like, Sora leaves, Jay comes in, and I'm assuming Jay's gonna have a big role. There are some episode descriptions that are like kind of be leaked. It's not like 100% confirmed, but I will probably talk about them in the future. Well, like after this video, I might do another video talking about them. There's also some voice lines that have been like how much voice lines people have that have been kind of leaked for part 2. So yes, I will talk about that voluntarily. But honestly, Jay returning like fully, he's obviously probably gonna do his own thing. But then I'm assuming the ninja probably gonna needs help to help like track down Eren's parents. I'm assuming they're gonna try fight Eren's parents before telling him that they're alive because Eren might not believe them, or Eren's probably being too infused in rage that he just doesn't believe anything that the ninja say anymore. But from the looks of it, from the promo image we saw of part 2 in with them in Underworld, Eren is smiling. But I'm assuming the Underworld episode is earlier on in the season. So yes, I can't wait for that episode because honestly, Cruncher and Naka or whatever their names are, they were funny back in the day. I did enjoy their characters. They could be annoying at sometimes, but like as an OG person, it's just nice seeing certain people back. So yeah, that's all there is to it. With Jay knowing also that Eren's parents are alive, because there was obviously confirmed that he obviously knew something from Eren. Even said himself that Jay might be the only one to know where his parents are part in season 2, and so on and so on, and everything that comes up forward. I just hope that like Eren believes that Jay knows where his parents are and that his parents are dead. I feel like it's easy, once you realize his parents are dead, it's easy to realize Raz is just tricking you for his own end. Unless like Jay tricks Raz somehow to believing Eren's parents are dead, but I don't see why he would do that. Because he does say any knowledge that Jay Walker had in the administration, he has access to. So I'm assuming he knows where Eren's parents are too. I'm assuming Raz would want that information. So Raz probably knows where Eren's parents are. That's just my thought though. I will say, Jay does say his parents have been reassigned to a weird place.
I know exactly where Eren's parents were reassigned, and it's really, really weird.
It's very weird where his parents are where his parents are. So maybe someone higher up in the administration personally reassigned these parents somewhere, or maybe they're held captive in some realm or whatever. I don't really know. I wonder what weird it means in this scenario. I feel like a lot of people are probably going to be theorizing why Jay said it's very weird. Maybe they weren't meant to be like transport weird or something, but he got a call from higher ups to put them to reassign them into a certain place or something. Or maybe they know Eren's potential and they're just trying to use him. Or maybe Raz somehow owns the administration and uses everyone. I have no idea what they're going to do, to be honest. Or maybe Raz bought off someone in the administration to relocate Eren's parents. It could be anything, to be honest. Before I move on to the cliffhanger, I want to say throughout Dragon Rising, like near the ending of the season, Lloyd will always like have like some downer thing. He's like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel like a victory. Oh, did we really win? All that. It does add to the darkness of it. It's just Lloyd does it like every time. For example, when Jay lost to Neo and they won, he's like, yeah, we may have won, but we've lost Jay, in like a really dark tone. And of course, same with like, Eren at the end of that, with Eren leaving and all that. I can't remember if he did something similar into part 1. I think part 1 was the visions, like season 1 was like the visions part, where he probably like was like, sat where like he was depressed on seeing that big like vision. So maybe, but like he just like he takes it very seriously. It's a bit of an up thing from like how he normally takes it. It kind of reminds me from season 9, ending of season 9, when he says the Oni is coming. So yeah, that kind of reminds me from that. I don't mind it actually. It does feel nice. It's just like he does it every time, and I can't take it seriously at all. But like, it's just nice that Lloyd's being serious and all that. So I find that very nice. All things considered, this cliffhanger, final part 1 was really done really well. Oh, I should probably put this in. Basically, Moro's doing his duty, trying to pass the living souls on, and he was probably gonna be busy with a bunch of souls passing over from Thunderfang, and basically Thunderfang ends up protecting himself against the beast that Moro's about to thing, and Moro's is kind of confused on how we can do that. He ends up absorbing the beast that normally try to souls, and then he ends up obviously absorbing Moro, which obviously a lot of people some people like, oh, why did you do my boy Moro like that? I don't think this is the Emerald Shield Moro. Now he turns into this soul. The thing is, people think the soul's Wu. I do want to talk about this quickly. I might make another video on it. I don't know if I will. But people think the soul is like Master Wu, and fun thing is up being Master Wu. I think that isn't Wu. From what I feel like if your soul is like pure angelic good, it just means you're a good person. Because all the 5 souls, they're completely dark red because they're corrupted beings or whatever. They're corrupted people. So it makes sense for their souls to be completely dark red. I think the fact that Wu's soul is Wu's first pupil soul is also golden doesn't mean anything. I feel like he obviously absorbed the ghost part of him, and then now he's absorbing the soul. So yes, that's what I think it is. Some people obviously think it's Wu, some people think it's more just more a soul, because Lloyd's soul is also like green or whatever, and it would make sense for like Mora's soul to be golden, because he's like also, if you think about, he's Wu's first student, Wu's soul's golden, he's so golden, but at the same time Wu being completely golden soul makes sense. But it doesn't make sense the fact that he came at it of Moro's soul drained, Wu came out of it. That doesn't make sense. So I think that isn't Wu. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a piece of his soul and it's not completely his soul. There is a lot to detail in it, but like I think it is Moro. I don't think this will be the last we see of Moro. I will make other videos on Moro and all that. Like I think Moro could probably return, or at least finally move on. Before I give my ranking on this episode, I forgot to talk about what I was going to talk about, but I kind of just overlooked it. The Dragonians do get free eventually while the final battle goes on, and of course, now that uncorrupted, I do hope we actually do see them again. Whether they're going to stay uncorrupted or not, there's another story. Because I believe from like set leaks, apparently there's going to be like Spectra Dragonians. So maybe like there's deceased Dragonians from the past that end up going now serving Thunderfang to fight them. And maybe we see a clash between the Spectra Dragonians and normal Dragonians. I don't know. Also, one thing I do like about this episode is while the battle's going on, we see the point of view throughout the whole merged lands, with Cole's point of view, Roby's, and even people from the administrations that we've already seen. It kind of cuts to them while the battle going on, because the storm's kind of crossing the whole of the merged land, so everyone's obviously panicking, and Cole's that's no normal storm. It's just a really nice way to show other people's perspective of the battle, and I really enjoyed that part. Before I give my overall review on this, how I rank out of 10, I will say Moro will probably return, and I will also say a lot of people for it, myself included. I didn't know if Moro would have a big part to play in Dragon Rising. He does have a decent part to play. One, he returns in the flashback at the end, and he also ends up being absorbed by Thunderfang, which obviously, is the cliffhanger we got left on. And he ends up giving the elixir to Eren. So I feel like he had a decent part to play in Dragon Rising. And I feel like we will eventually see him again, especially considering I really want to see an interaction between him and Wu, or Moro and Lloyd. Because like that message he gave to Eren, at the very least, Eren should be the one to convey Mori's feelings if they can't, like, you know, reconnect. Maybe Mori finds a way to resurrect himself fully, which I wouldn't complain about, to be fair. If Mori somehow finds a way to be resurrected, like how Garmadon got resurrected. But I doubt Ninjago Dragon Rising will do that, as they would have something planned for Mori, or they just want Mori to assist Euphrasia with her wind powers. That would also be good. Maybe Mori ends up getting hurt. He's first student. I don't know. Or maybe Mori just stays protected the lands of the Spectre lands, and then Lloyd and that always visit there just to say hello once in a while. I would like that too. Overall ranking of this episode is 10 out of 10, 100%. It's a 10 out of 10 episode. I personally didn't find anything wrong with this episode. Don't think I obviously hated it's the Sora and Eren thing, but at the same time, I'm probably gonna hate the aspect a bit of anything I hate during Rising 3. The Raz part, I've never liked Raz as a villain personally. Of course, a lot of people disagree with me, but that's just my opinion on the Raz. I just find him annoying. I feel like I like Pythor more than Raz at this point, just because Pythor can be like somewhat entertaining. Raz is just always annoying at any time. It's like, yes, I've manipulated you once again. Ha ha ha. That's literally Raz's character at this point. Basically, yeah, like I said, a 10 out of 10 episode. I can't really find anything wrong with it, but like it's full because obviously other than the story with Sora going with Eren to protect Eren from hurting himself or hurting others and making sure he's good, I guess. It's relatively good, and like I said, the main reason I still watch Ninjago a lot of the time is just to like reminisce about old times, and also because of Jay. Like, Jay's my favorite ninja. Yeah, I don't know how I've been able to record a 20-minute review. I've never done this, so I've been talking about a lot of stuff this episode, so it definitely deserves to be 10 out of 10, 100% out of every episode of Dragon Rising Season 3. And I can't wait for part 1. This is also my longest review on Ninjago Dragon Rising at all. Yeah, I can't wait for Dragon Rising Part 2 to come out. It's probably going to be a couple months if I had to guess. I think I've already said that at the beginning of this review, but I don't really remember. Yeah, I can't wait to Dragon Rising 2 Part 2 comes out, because I'm going to be intrigued to see what's going to happen. Like I said, this is 10 out of 10 review, 100%. Nothing I can fault with this review. Make sure to subscribe and do all that great things, because it does really help me out a lot. And I can't wait for Dragon Rising Season 2 Part 2 to come out. And without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Okay, wow. You're a big one.